absolutely positively love it. Is there a timeline when it will be rolled out to everyone?
Yeah, so for everyone who isn't familiar with the Direct Ship Now pilot, so that's a pilot where it has really two critical components. The one is that we ship items directly to customers, which now can exist through our Direct Ship platform, but there's also a really critical component, our split order submission, which really means that items can be submitted to home office and shipped prior to the show closing. So it's a really neat program that allows a lot of flexibility for our guests and hosts and takes a lot of the burden off of hosts to deliver. What we see is a lot of hosts hold items, good intentions, but they don't get it delivered as quickly. And Direct Ship Now allows us to deliver those more quickly to the end consumer and to consumer habits shifting. People want items delivered to them faster. Waiting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks is not as acceptable as it was 10 or 15 years ago. So the program right now, we started last year, we had about 900 people in the program, about 900 to 1,000 people in the pilot. In May we extended, we added 200 more people. The 200 we added in May were very high sellers, so lots of volume in terms of products. As we look to expand it, we have to take into consideration a few things. One is with pilots, we're working out bugs. There's always issues, problems, challenges that we need to work out and make sure that we understand before we scale it more broadly. 2, we're looking for feedback. Oh, I wish it did this, I wish it did that. So it allows us to understand, is that something we can deliver on? Is that something we want to deliver on? But make sure we understand that. And 3, it allows us from a scale perspective to see if we can handle it and we can manage it. In Direct Ship Now in particular, there's a scale issue. So we have a distribution center, but shipping Direct Ship Now is far different than shipping to host. Because if you think about it, when we ship to host, we ship one large box with 10 different guest orders. Now we're shipping 10 small boxes to 10 different homes. So in terms of our distribution center, we have to reconfigure because we're shipping, in many cases, 10 times as many packages, 7 times as many packages as we did before. So we're in the process now of understanding the limitations of the distribution center and slowly letting more people into the program. And that's what we expect to do, is slowly let more people into the program. Right now we have about almost 5,000 people on the wait list who want into the program. We opened that up in May. So hopefully in the coming months, we'll be able to let more people into the program. I will say as we do that, it's not going to be a perfect program. Right now we still know there's some glitches and some issues with it, but we feel like the advantage to guests and hosts and the consultants in it, it's so positive that we want to expand it even though we don't have it perfect yet. So you'll see that when we expand it, some people in the program may say, why aren't you fixing these things first? But we want to get more people in because we think it's such a differentiator and a big customer advantage.
I just have one more question. If somebody has a damaged stone, right now we're able to have them take a picture with their name and reference number. Is that something in the future we will be able to do with all products, like cookware?
Rich Halava would love you for that question. So Rich is our Chief Operating Officer, and he talks to me regularly about this, and it's something that we're looking into, of can we expand picture return. Now, what we're looking to do is, can we do that in conjunction with the online RMA, because we feel like those together would be better if we have the online RMA and picture return. So that's what we're hoping to do, is to be able to expand those two in conjunction, but we have some usability with the online RMA that we need to address first. What we tend to run into is we have a lot of priorities in the business in general, and a lot of those touch technology. So we have to determine what is the key priority that we want to focus on when, and is that more important than something else over here? So we can't do a registry and Direct Ship Now and our online RMA, all of those things simultaneously. So how do we prioritize and make sure we tick through them as quickly as possible? But it definitely is on our mind. We want to make it an easier process for both our customers and our consultants. Thanks, Kathy.
I'm Gail Graham, the director from Atlanta, Georgia. I have a follow-up question about the DC and the warehouse in regards to Direct Ship Now. Are there plans to expand, or is there expansion needed, or huge modifications necessary to ship all those additional smaller packages?
So we're doing the research, the study right now. So we've been in a study for the last couple of months. Right now we're shipping about 31% of our packages are going direct ship out of clearly 100%. With our current capabilities, we can get to 40%, we feel like, without an issue. Above 40%, we have to better understand what it looks like. So that might be reconfiguring our distribution center, that might be looking at other options. So we have to do all of that research. So we've been working with an engineering team that's studying the flow of small packages versus big packages. But that's one of the factors we're taking into consideration before we expand. But there is a benefit with direct ship now, because direct ship now, we receive the orders as they're submitted. We get them throughout the month. Because what we see is, it's amazing. It must be like 40% of shows happen in the last 3 days. I mean, I don't know if you see this in your business, but the last 3 days, you must be doing all of your shows, because that's when we get all of our orders. So what we see is consultants, for whatever reason, are holding shows, to get more orders, to coordinate with their host, whatever it may be, and so they don't close until those last 3 days. So if we have 40% of the orders coming in the last 2 days, I think it is, it causes a huge spike in our distribution center to fulfill all of those orders and to staff to be able to fulfill all those orders. So direct ship now actually smooths that, which is beneficial to us. So we have to see how that actually works from a distribution center perspective.
Tamara Miller, I'm an advanced director from Jenks, Oklahoma. I'm also in the direct ship now and love it, thank you. Couple of questions. One is, if someone places an order at the beginning of the show and then they want to place a second order, I've had people just not do it because they don't have another email address, or they have contacted me and helped them. But is there some way that they can place a second order without this blockage?
Yeah, so what happens currently in direct ship now, and really it happens in every order, it's not just direct ship now, is that you cannot have two orders with the same email address. And it seems like a really easy fix, and why would we do that? But when the system was configured, we never expected to have two different orders on the same shipment with two different email addresses, or with the same email address rather. So it is a fairly big system configuration change, because that email address is the unique identifier of that order, and so in our system that's the way it's reading it, and so for us to change that, it's a lot of work. So that's one of the, I don't consider it a bug, but it's one of the fixes that we'd want to fix. Clearly we recognize that's not sustainable long term, but we likely will continue to add more people before we fix that, because that's a pretty big fix. That's not a small fix that we can easily do, and clearly today if we were developing it and structuring the whole system, we wouldn't structure it that way. But this is going from years and years ago when it was structured that way. But it's something that we have to work on to make sure that customers, if they do exactly that, they order something at the show and want to order something later, they can do that. But it's one of those things that we look on that priority of where does it fall. It's a relatively small percentage, but with direct ship now, it's a much bigger issue than it is in the rest of our organization.
And I find that in virtual shows, much more than in a typical cooking show. And that's my second question is, I'm just doing a little bit of that, but I have a director that is literally exploding her business with the virtual shows. Is there going to be home office support for that type of show, because it's so different than what we've done in the past?
Yeah, so currently Belinda Hudman, who joined us running marketing, has really been focusing on 3 areas that are really critical, we feel, to our future. One is around our sort of recruiting experience. The second is around consumers and how we focus on consumers more actively. And the third is around virtual parties. That's for sort of her first 6-9 months. She's been focusing on those areas. Virtual party is the one we're the least far along on, but we feel like there's so much opportunity there. And so what we need to better understand is what's happening in the field, how do we learn from that, and what do customers want. So I think we're doing a fairly good job of learning from the field, what people are doing. We know individuals who are being successful, and we're trying to learn and understand that better. What we really need to understand now is what do customers want. So I think where we've probably had gaps in the past where we've seen something happening in the field, freezer meal workshops, station style, for example. We just take those and say, okay, go do this, and we just sort of copy what's being successful in one place and execute, versus actually taking a step back and saying, all right, if we're going to come and say, this is how you should do it, we should look out there and say, what are all our consultants doing? What are other direct sales companies doing? What do customers want? What's best in class? So we can build that and make sure that we're communicating those pieces. So you'll see some rollout on virtual parties and support in the future, and we're really working to better understand that ourselves so that we can help you and your teams, because we think there's a lot of potential there. But like anything, there's 100 different ways to do it. Should you use Facebook Live, or you use Share or Zoom, or lots of different things? Do you play games or don't you play games? How do you manage it? So I was talking to Charlotte Nagai. So I was talking to her at the first time of reception about her success, because she clearly has been very successful doing it and how it's working for her, so that we can learn from that. But I know the marketing team, as well as others, have been spending time really digging into it.